I know there's been an extended gap in the Swim Coach Dad podcast, but I'm hoping to change that. Start things off right. I'm here in our North Country headquarters talking to a couple of guests to the podcast, talk about college swimming experience, hopefully pass on some good information on picking a college and being ready to swim in college. Welcome to the Swim Coach Dad podcast. We've been busy, so if you hear the sound of boats and other things in the background, it's because I'm up here at the river and North Country location. Seems like this is about the only time we have to sit down and talk these days. So hopefully the outside noise won't be too distracting. You may hear a boat or two or some people yelling in the background. Today I have a couple of college swimmers here to talk about their experiences. My son Kai and my daughter Taryn. Welcome to the podcast. You guys can talk.
Hey.
Now, I was thinking about all the ways you guys are different. Starts off when you were born. Kai, I think you were born on a 94-degree day, sweltering heat in the summer, not middle of summer, but late June. And then Taryn, you were born, Kai, you were born in the morning on a hot summer day. And Taryn, you were born in the winter at night, and it was like 20 degrees out. So that's about how it started. And I'm not sure. I think in colleges you guys almost went the same direction as far as how you picked your colleges. So why don't we start out by talking about where you're going to school? Taryn, you want to talk first?
I'm going to Denison University, and it's a pretty small school in the not middle of Ohio, but in Ohio, and I figure people don't know what it is when I tell them, but I always say it's a really small liberal arts college in Ohio.
It's near Columbus. Basically.
But it's like the middle of nowhere, and then there's Columbus.
Okay. So Kai, where are you going to school?
I am and went to UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore County, which is in Baltimore, basically. It's about 20 minutes outside of Baltimore in a suburb.
So, and Taryn, you're a freshman. You just finished your freshman year. And Kai, you just finished your first year of graduate school, but your fifth year of eligibility with the pandemic, right?
Yep.
So, the one thing that I think is interesting is that you both went in such different directions, right? So, yeah, the whole idea of picking a college is was a crazy thing for you guys, right?
Well, yeah, don't want to pick the wrong place.
Well, did you feel the pressure when you were doing that?
Yeah. Like, if I pick the wrong place, it's going to screw my whole life, which I know that's not exactly how it works, but...
Well, is that how you felt, Kai?
More or less. I mean, my college recruiting experience was a little different than a lot of others, for many reasons. But I was originally looking at the Naval Academy, and very set on the Naval Academy. And then when I got medically denied, I had to basically not figure out another place, but kind of reassess. And then I committed to University of Buffalo, which even looking back on it, I was really happy with. It would have been a fun place to go. But as fate had it, they dropped the program on April 3rd.
Of your senior year.
Of my senior year of high school. And I had to figure out what to do after that.
So I remember coming back. I don't know where we were, Taryn, but it was June 15th of your sophomore year. You were almost finished with your sophomore year in high school. And remember you asked me if I thought you'd get any recruiting calls or anything?
Oh, yeah, because they had just changed the rule. And not even, like, if I would get any calls, but I just didn't know, like, if I would get any emails or anything. And then like, I got a lot, which was a little overwhelming.
Well, I remember the first thing we did was, as you were freaking out about people wanting to talk to you and stuff, we we started a spreadsheet to try and keep track of them all, because there were obviously some that weren't good fits for you.
Yeah.
And then, and I think it was kind of different with Kai for whatever reason, because I mean you got contacted, but mostly.
I mean, I got contacted by a little different group of colleges than Taryn did. Like Taryn, I think you got contacted by more bigger schools for swimming, at least, and I was more of along the Ivy League sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like the very academic schools.
Yeah.
I mean, I technically got contacted by them and did not want to go there. That was not.
Yeah.
My path.
Well, no, but that was also, I mean, but I think one of the things was that you got contacted by college coaches, so those were, it was a lot about swimming, and I think for the guys it is different. Honestly, I think the guys have to do more of the work than the women do, because there's so many women's programs. There's a lot more competition for the swimmers out there.
Yeah, I'd say I didn't do very much work.
No, whereas Kai had to do a lot of work, as I recall.
I feel like even with like my other swimming friends, like everyone like filled out recruiting forms and stuff like that, and I just didn't.
Yeah, and I remember when Alyssa Helak was being recruited at the same time Kai was. I said, "How many schools are you going to apply to?" And she goes, "1. I'm going to apply to the school that I decided to go to." Whereas with Kai, I mean, for a lot of time there, it was looking like you were going to have to apply to like 4 or 5 schools.
Yeah.
Just to get the deal. So, did you know what you guys wanted to major in? I know you did, right?
Yeah. I knew years before that I wanted to do engineering. It did change a little bit after all the recruiting stuff went on. Originally, I wanted to do only aerospace engineering, and kind of was at UB. They have a dual program, and I was going to do the dual mechanical aerospace program. And then when they dropped the program, there aren't many aerospace schools out there, so I went to mechanical engineering.
Taryn, how did you figure that out?
I was definitely not as like set in stone for what I wanted to do, and I didn't know that I wanted to do psych when I was 5. But I think after like talking with like Aunt Debbie, who's like a school psychologist, and then my sports psychologist, Dr. Goldberg, I was like, this is pretty cool, and I think I would enjoy it.
And do you feel like when you went to college, when you started your freshman year, that you were pretty set on what you wanted to do?
Yeah, like, I think definitely taking the classes, like, helps solidify that. Mm-hmm. And I loved my professor this year.
In your major?
Yeah, in my major, so that really helped.
So, your future aspirations are, well, now you're in graduate school, other than getting a job. What kind of work do you want to do?
Work is in terms of occupation?
Yeah.
Engineering. I really like engineering, like the problem solving, but I don't really have a set area that I'm only going to do one type of engineering. I just kind of like problems. If it's a challenging problem and complicated, then better I'll like it.
So, and Taryn, you have career aspirations, right? You have kind of a plan.
Yeah, so I do want to do sports, but I think that going into clinical is like an easier way of like being able to do whatever. Mm-hmm. So I'm not like stuck doing one thing.
Well, I know, but your aspirations are to do what Dr. Goldberg does and have a sports psychology practice, right?
Probably, yeah.
Does that have anything to do with just staying here at the river and being able to see clients online?
I mean, it definitely helps. Being able to go wherever I want. Like, He's called me from
Maine,
all over, like, the country, pretty much. Florida, Maine, Massachusetts.
Well, the fact of the matter is, though, he's extremely effective at what he does that way.
Yes.
I mean, that's the one thing, and it's very important that it's not that he just kind of
Travels.
goes through the motions.
Yeah.
And, he does a great job. What did you guys consider when you were looking at colleges?
I mean, I didn't really have too many to pick from. There aren't. It's weird when you think about it, but for when I was looking for an aerospace program and men's swim team. That comes down to 14 schools at the time, at least. And of those schools, I could probably realistically swim at about 9 of them. And then of those 9, I could probably have only afforded to go to about 4 or 5 of those. And that that's kind of where my list came from. Just what was available for what I wanted to do. And then after that, I just kind of was like, whether I liked the team, whether I liked the school, whether I liked the academics, and kind of how just my gut feeling of the school.
How did you pick?
Well, for me, I didn't have, every school pretty much has psych, so it wasn't really about that. But I think that, obviously, I knew I wanted to swim, so swimming was pretty much the big factor. And
the big difference, let's say.
Yeah, the difference.
Because I believe your parents have told you that college is for getting a job.
You're going to school for education. Yes, I know that. But, I wanted a team. It was mostly, picking based on the team, not necessarily based on, not that it's not based on the swimming, but it's, I wanted a team that felt like a team and, that everyone, that we liked each other and not just, threw a group of people together and said swim.
The level did have something to do with it, though, right?
Yeah, but I think that was more of a, no. I did not want to go to a D3 school necessarily. That was the...
No, I mean, the level of, if they had swimmers you could train with.
Oh, yes, that was definitely it. But based on, D3, I didn't really want to go to a D3 school when I was looking because I think I needed money. But...
That would have helped.
Yeah,
Yeah, but the package had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Right? Kai, when you were picking, what were your criteria?
I mean, it was very weird looking back. I mean, it was quite a while ago. It was almost coming up to 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in the very beginning, I got contacted by the Navy and started talking to them, and I was all in. I was ready. I really wanted to go. Was part of the way through the process, and the academy I really liked the academy, but other schools outside the academies, when I first visited UB, the school I initially committed to at the end, at the first round at least, I hated it. We went, and it was this horrible rainy day in Buffalo, New York, in probably April, when we just kind of drove by.
Oh yeah.
And it was just it was not fun, and no one was there. I think it was probably spring break or something, but other than that, my general criteria was I just wanted a good school. I wanted a swim team that, felt like Victor, really, at the time at least, where we had a bunch of really close kids who trained hard together. That's basically what I wanted out of a swim team. I just wanted kids who came to practice and trained hard.
Well, and do you think that the final decision was Taryn, you can probably tell a little bit more now. What do you think it was a good decision?
Yeah.
I know that you had a good first year, but is it a good fit?
Yeah, I think that just for at least my class, we had a horrible recruiting time because I didn't go on any official visits, really. I think I went on one unofficial visit to UB. But we didn't get to really see what the school was like before necessarily. Like I visited friends that were there and stuff like that, so I got kind of an idea, but I never had an overnight. So showing up was kind of, I didn't really know what I was getting into, but yeah, it turned out well.
What kind of surprises did you guys get when you went to college?
You don't get a lot of sleep.
Were you surprised at that?
No, I mean I figured, but you're just running on empty a lot.
Is it the swimming part of it, or is it the? Do you think you'd be if you were just a, as you call them, NARPs, a non-athlete, regular person? If you were one of those, do you think it would be as, as manic as that? Where you're not getting a lot of sleep?
No, definitely the swimming part, just because morning practices, like I got a lot more sleep on like the one day a week we didn't have mornings, and that was nice.
Kai, do you think you were surprised by anything in college?
I mean, UMBC was well, it wasn't the team that I really wanted. I kind of got put into a rock and a hard place because I either had the choice of waiting a year or trying to find a school that was still had rolling admissions, and for all the other criteria that I had, there weren't many.
But at the end of the day, I mean, you finished your eligibility. You have a bachelor's degree, a BS in mechanical engineering. You're working towards an MS in mechanical engineering, and you could have transferred. Do you think that, in retrospect, do you wish you had changed?
No, but I do wish there were some things that were different about the team at the time, or even now.
Well, but I think that the one thing we always talk about is that every year a bunch of new kids come in, and the team can change. I mean, it's up to the coach to really manage that, but the teams will change a little bit, right?
A lot.
Between your freshman year and your fifth year, you changed a lot. First of all,
the whole team atmosphere changes. It's night and day between your freshman year and your senior year.
So you really couldn't have done anything about that, though. Team you saw as a prospective student in April of whatever that was, 2017.
Wasn't even the same school. It wasn't even the same team you would have even started on as a freshman.
Right. Well, to a degree, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, depending on when you saw them, you could have either been half gone or there would have been a fourth gone.
Would you have transferred?
Would I have transferred? That's a hard question. It depends. I mean, it wouldn't have been easy for me to transfer to another school for multiple reasons. But I mean, probably not. I had a really good deal at UMBC, but probably not.
Are the things? What things do you think you wish you knew or considered when you made the decision to go there? Is there anything that you wish that you had thought about before? I mean, I know, Taryn, you're pretty happy at Denison.
I asked a lot of questions to my friends that were already there, so I think I pretty much knew what I was getting into, other than like actually being there. Like, as much as I could have known, I did know, but like I didn't really know the people that I was showing up with.
So you both have school records, right, at your schools, and I think all time, Kai, you're in the top 2 in 3 events, and you're like in the top 10 in another event. So I know that when I looked at UMBC, I noticed that you were faster than the school record in the mile already. And do you think that should have been something we should have thought about more?
To be honest, yeah, kind of. I honestly wish I had more time to make a decision at the time. I had less than a month to find a new school, go on trips, visit the school, and figure out the package before I had to sign or figure out or commit to a school. I really got put in a really hard place at the time. Even now, it's still, even though I'm happy with the academics and I had a fairly successful career in college, I wish I just had more time to make a decision.
Mm. What about you? I mean, you broke 3 school records this year, right? 3? 2?
Well, technically the 1,000 in the mile, I
Right.
think they gave me, but...
Yeah, 500,000 in the mile.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think that, I mean, you did best times to do those?
Yeah, but this was the only school pretty much that I was looking at that it didn't have, like... I would be showing up, like, the fastest one, and I think that was, like, something I kind of had to come to terms with, because I didn't really want to do that, but... I mean, it worked out, and I do have people that I can train with. So.
Yeah. Do you think that will change? I mean, basically, you still have people that you can train with, but, swimmers come and go. One of your teammates transferred this year, so do you think that transferred out? So do you think...
Well, I'm hopeful for my other teammate that had a huge year this year that she'll be able to train with me, and we have a girl coming in that should be a good training partner.
Yeah. So do you think you were prepared for college swimming?
Yeah.
I mean, was there any part of it? I remember you telling me about the upperclassmen were telling you how hard practices were, and you were a little concerned about it, but
I love not the freshmen. Well, I do. Okay, the seniors this year. I love the seniors this year, but they made it sound so scary in the beginning. It was awful. I wanted to quit, and that was just
before practice even started.
Yes, it was awful. They scared us so much. But like showing up, I think lifting was definitely, you got to get used to it if you haven't lifted before. And I hated lifting in the beginning, and now I would prefer to lift than have a morning swim. But lifting was definitely an adjustment. But as far as like practices go, Victor definitely, like, I was definitely prepared swimming wise.
how did you guys compare with Kai? You felt the same way?
Yeah, I mean, UMBC had a bunch of fairly fast guys at the time, and I was definitely well above the average, and I had fun just trying to torture the seniors.
So I think that one of the things we didn't mention is that Taryn, you're at a Division III school, and Kai, you're at a Division I school, and so do you see like the difference in preparation? I mean, I think that was everybody at Denison prepared to train hard and was in shape?
No.
Were you surprised at the level that people came in at?
No. Like, the summers I understand they're difficult for people and motivation when you don't have something right on the horizon, but, I'm sure I'll be more frustrated next year that I know people and they'll be coming in out of shape, but we were really, like, killed in the beginning that people got in shape fairly quickly, that it was, like, okay, but also sucked for them in the first couple months.
Survive or die.
Yeah.
What about you, Kai?
I was more surprised at how poor of shape people came in. Because there are people who would come and be like, yeah, I swam in July, and this is like the end of August, and it's like, oh, okay.
It's going to be rough.
But the difference also is, like, you guys are, like, literally swimming for money. Like,
yeah.
My team, we don't get scholarships, so everyone that's there wants to be there. Not that people don't want to be there on your team, but, like, we're not there because of money.
No. And that was the thing that kind of annoyed me about, at least UMBC, is that people who had significant scholarships would come in. I wouldn't even consider them in shape. They came in and they were a body in the pool. And that was about all you could say.
So, do you think that, Taryn, you made your cuts in December at your mid-season meets for Division III NCAAs. Do you think that had a lot to do with how well prepared you came in at the beginning of the year?
Yes. Like, I think it definitely helped, but I don't think that was, like, the reason. Like, you had months to get in shape, and there were people that probably came in, not in shape that also made it then.
Really? I'm not too sure who that was, but anyways.
Well, I could name them, but I'm not
Okay.
going to.
But I just thought that, getting your cuts done in December, coming in shape, going and doing the captain's practices, and then, working hard when the team got together, because that's another Division III thing, is that you guys don't start practicing right away.
Yeah.
Whereas, Kai, I think you started, what?
3 days after we got there.
3 days after you got there, right? 3 days after classes started anyway, or something.
Yeah.
So there was a big difference in that. And I remember talking to you, Taryn, about the captain's practices. Now you're having trouble getting motivated because it was...
Yeah, as a freshman coming in, it sucks because you don't know everyone on the team. There's like 4 different time slots to go swim, and you have to balance that with a new schedule of classes that you're not used to having, like, time to just go down to the pool in between classes, or maybe at night. And you don't want to swim alone, but you don't know anyone yet, really. So it's just kind of like, what do I do?
I always said that Denison, well, there's a group of colleges, Denison, Kenyon, Williams. Those are Division I programs masquerading as Division III programs. Emory, yep. Do you feel that's sort of the same way? Because, you know what Kai went through, so...
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's really any difference other than they get money.
And gear.
And, we get gear, we just have to pay for it, which kind of sucks.
Believe me, that's a different...
I'm not paying for it, you're paying for it,
Yes,
so
right.
Thank you for that. But that's, like, training-wise and, like, meet-wise, like, there's no difference. We take a coach bus to meets, except for the first one, they messed up. But we get, like, the stuff, we just... we have to pay for it, but swimming wise, I don't think there's really much difference.
Well, I mean, you guys swam a number of Division I teams this year, right?
Yeah. Most of them, I think.
Most of them, yeah. You swam a few Division III schools, but for the most part, you swam Ohio State, you swam Cleveland State, you swam what was the other one? You swam
Xavier.
You're supposed to swim Pitt. So, and Kai, you swam some Division III schools, which it was too bad because Johns Hopkins was pretty tough for you guys.
They rested.
Well, yeah, but I think that's one of those things where you will get the competition. Did you think that? How did you guys do with dual meets? You guys never swam high school.
From Victor, I ended up having a bit of a party trick in dual meets in that I could go a fast 1,000 and like 45 minutes later do a fast 500.
And occasionally do the IM when they need.
Yeah. So I ended up kind of liking dual meets, especially like when I loved the Navy dual meets. Like we would get crushed, but I loved racing those guys. They got faster and faster, and I mean they really shouldn't be in the Patriot League anymore. They've outgrown it, but I always loved that dual meet because we got to go to Navy, which is a really fast pool. And
Annapolis is pretty.
Yeah. But I got to race some really fast guys, and that was always fun.
What'd you do with dual meets?
I think
because you're prelim final, you're a final swimmer from.
Yeah, swimming wise, dual meets are very draining. But I think the reason why I loved dual meets was because that was the first opportunity to be an actual team. Not that we're not a team at practice and all that stuff, but we're a little bit more separated. But then you get to the dual meet and everyone's coming together. You get yelled at if you're not cheering. It's a team.
So that part of it, the team part seems to be kind of important for you guys, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I think, Kai, you could take it or leave it, but I know that there were a lot of... I was kind of impressed that there were a lot of guys that really followed you as kind of a leader, whereas, you weren't officially a captain, so...
No. The thing with... I don't really know about girls, but with guys, if you work hard, come to practice, don't really complain. People are going to look up to you no matter what you do because that's just kind of what they expect. You come, you work hard, and you do your best, and that's really that's the secret to college swimming. Come in shape in the beginning of the year, go to practice every day, work hard, and don't complain. And you'll
it's kind of a low bar, isn't it?
But what more can they expect of you? What more can you expect of yourself? I mean,
I know when I was in college, we were in it together. So if somebody was having problems getting through the practice, your teammates were there to push you along. But I also had it was a way different time. We were swimming a lot more and all that. But what about your coaches, Kai? You had 2 groups of coaches.
Yeah.
Was it difficult going from, Coach Mike and me to others?
Yeah. From my college experience, I unfortunately learned that the college coaches that I had were not really coaches, in my opinion. They were...
Not the coaches you needed, let's say.
No, they were just not coaches. They were not qualified, in my opinion. They were just figureheads that wrote hundreds times on a piece of paper.
Taryn, what about you? I mean, you swam for a guy who's a contemporary of mine, so he was more of the...
I think by the time I was going to school, I needed a bit of a change.
That's not much of a change, though. He's very much
but I
Mike
needed, no offense, but I needed a little, not my dad at practice and not necessarily not Mike. I had a little bit of break from him when he left. But yeah, exactly. But it was a good enough, Greg is definitely similar enough that I was, comfortable there. It wasn't much of a change. It is a change, but it's not like how Kai had a change.
Yeah. Very different. All right. Well, let's we're going to cut this into a couple pieces just because when we did this is actually a redo because the first time we did it was a while ago and it was very long. So we're going to break here and we'll go to part 2 in just a few minutes. So welcome to the Swim Coach Dad podcast. Glad you're listening. Stay tuned for part 2.